Jim Kunkel here. Make sure that you subscribe to my channel and set the notification bell to all so that you won't miss any of my new content. I'm Jim Kunkel and welcome to a special episode of Global Topic. Today's episode will be on the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the freight industry, and joining me today will be guest Raquel Packets, who's the president of Zen Freight Solutions based out of Butler, Pennsylvania. I hope you enjoy today's episode. Raquel, thank you for joining me on Global Topic on this special episode regarding the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the freight and transportation systems. Hey, before we would start, could you take a minute or two and go through a little bit of background regarding Zen Freight Solutions?
Sure thing. Thank you so much for having me. So I'm the president of Zen Freight Solutions. We are based an hour north of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and we handle transportation of all sorts of products all over the United States and Canada.
So I believe that, you and I will probably come to an agreement that one of the major, impacts on 2020 was the COVID-19 pandemic. And according to National Law Review, in a recent June article, that they said, and I'll quote this, the trucking and transportation sector was absolutely rattled by the pandemic. In your experience during 2020 within the industry, how did this rattle manifest?
Oh, sure. So there were many shutdowns across all different sectors in 2020 here. And in March, it was kind of a frazzled thing. The first major issue was trying to decide what was essential and what wasn't, what material needed to be on the roads and what didn't. That played a really big part in drivers not knowing whether they were allowed to cross state lines or not. As well as that, the virus itself took a toll on the truckers, their families, trying to not leave their state as well. There was a huge demand for health and safety plans, which caused confusion and disruption. In each state, each individual business had to choose their own path on what was the best way to move forward. As well as due to the mandatory shutdowns, we saw a lot of manufacturers close. Some of those truckers that relied on that business every single day also had to shut their doors. This overall caused a major reduction in freight from March to June. We started to see an increase now, but we'll keep our eyes open. There's a few other, during different states and during the COVID, some states some states required the drivers to mandatory quarantine for 14 days. So as soon as they drove, I had one driver from Texas going into California. As soon as he got into California, he was placed off to the side and wasn't allowed to move. That caused a big problem for his family, caused a problem for his business. The people looking for the material that he was delivering had to wait 2 weeks before he could deliver it. I mean, this has affected so much transportation in so many ways. The dry van market has been flipped upside down all around. There's hot spots. So there's certain areas such as Pittsburgh where they're getting up to $5 a mile or more in order to move the material out of this area. Meanwhile, flatbed trailers saw a slowdown during the summer. So it's been a really big impact.
Yeah, it sounds like it. History shows that, after the 1918 flu pandemic, there was an acceleration of society, business, and technological changes in America. In your opinion, do you see any accelerated changes coming to the trucking and transportation sector from this COVID-19 pandemic?
Yes, there's always been transportation and technology hand in hand. We're always looking to find the next available product on the market in order to show drivers from start to finish, right? So I'm seeing a major push for transportation providers to utilize technology to keep everyone aware. It could be as easy as a GPS tracker on your cell phone. but there's all kinds of new and upcoming things in the market. It just hasn't come out yet. Let's see. I said it can be easy to get into the industry, but I caution all to do. I'm so sorry. That was so wrong. Let's see. Oh, I was just saying they would take many years before we can actually have a digital transformation because it just takes a lot of time and money to get technology to everyone in the transportation sector. There's big companies and there's small individual owner-operator truck drivers, and not everyone can afford the technology as it comes out.
And in your opinion, too, when we're looking at obviously the push to, we have driverless cars now, and Tesla is working on these transportation regarding the trucking and freight industry. How do you see that also impacting with the driverless trucks?
I think we're really a ways away from that. I kind of look at it as we've had the railroad system that's on a track for how long, and we still can't leave those unmanned. So, and there's very few things that cross interact in the trackways. So I think we're quite a few years away from that.
That's very interesting. At this point in time, as it's been before 2020, the trucking and transportation sector was in a need of quality drivers and support teams, performing not only the logistics, the management, and the technical support to meet the demand on freight, transportation, and delivery services. How can people get positions with the industry at this time?
Well, I think there's a lot of availability out there, a lot of opportunities for people to get into transportation. It can be easy to get into the industry, but I caution all to do their research on the companies that they choose. Make sure that their values align with that company. There's a lot of different areas you can get in. You can get into dispatch. You can get into brokerage. You can make your own trucking company as it is. So a lot of opportunity out there. Just make sure you do your research. The baby boomers are currently still out there trucking and bringing our products to us, but they're looking to retire. And we're not backfilling them at the same rate as they're retiring. So we have a major driver shortage out there. So I suggest if anyone's in need of a job to see about getting their CDL and see if they can truck around the USA.
Yeah, we can almost see kind of a perfect storm, not only having the challenges of finding, individuals to want to pursue this career, but also then the impact, as you mentioned earlier, about the quarantines in different states and things like that. It's kind of a perfect storm having a pandemic hit at the same time where the shortages when it comes to manpower and the ability to move freight around, here in North America. Raquel, what a great conversation we've been having. Closing out this episode, is there anything that we didn't cover that you would want to leave with the viewers?
I just want everyone to know that this year has been a tough one on everyone, and you're not alone. And I want to make sure that everyone keeps, our mental health as a nation is taking a toll. So I urge everyone to take time out of their day to go out and walk, just kind of relax and be here and just give thanks for where you are. I'm an avid hiker, and I use hiking daily to help keep stress and anxiety out of my life. So I just want to make sure that I relay that out there for everyone as well.
And out in nature, you can do a lot of social distancing.
Yes.
That and stay healthy too. So Raquel, I appreciate the opportunity to have a conversation with you today.
Thank you so much, Jim. I really appreciate it.
Have a great day.
You too.